welcome to the vlog. We're here on this beautiful Monday afternoon and we're about to get some walks done. I got Atlas and Riley here. Check them out. Both of which are here for all sorts of different issues. Riley hasn't socialized with other dogs since she's a puppy because she's a freaking German Shepherd psychopath, but now she's chilling out being a good girl. Atlas is here because he's a freaking handful ass of a Doberman, but he's crushing it too. And we're about to walk them together because this is a big hurdle for both of them. They're both very impulsive. Riley had crazy dog reactivity and couldn't chill around other dogs before. Atlas was just crazy and couldn't chill around other dogs because of that. And they're holding down stays, chilling out just well while I'm talking here, and we're gonna take them for a walk. So enjoy the episode. What's up, guys? We got a question on Instagram here from somebody watching some of our content asking, they have a dog that has some reactivity, aggression issues. He asked if a muzzle at the dog park would be a good idea. Short answer, no. So obviously you guys see us do like massive breakthroughs with dogs that have dog aggression issues, dog reactivity issues, stuff like that. And we're always using a muzzle every time we do it. A muzzle is a phenomenal training tool in order to help assist in the process of safely putting these dogs in these scenarios. But the muzzle in itself is not the solution. And in addition to that, one of the biggest keys for socialization success is putting the dog in proper social settings, meaning we know all the dogs we're socializing them with, meaning that we're in a position to be able to communicate effectively with our dog if they make poor choices, meaning there's no food, toys, affection out in those scenarios. And going into things with the mentality of it's just the muzzle, we could put a muzzle on and put them in those scenarios, is the wrong way of looking at it. And if you try to do that in itself, you can actually make the problem much, much worse, because you're going to wind up putting the dog in improper social situations, and you're going to push the boundary even more than you would in those improper social situations because you have a muzzle on the dog, which could cause the dog to get into higher states of fear and not help them get past those problems as effectively as we need them to. My recommendation always is obviously use the muzzle as a tool. Make sure you have a proper way to communicate with the dog effectively and discipline them for inappropriate decisions, and set up controlled play dates with dogs that you know and trust, and avoid dog parks at all costs. We got some blogs, we got some posts as far as why to do that, or why not to do that, I should say. So hope that helps. All right, so right now we're just answering some YouTube questions we've been getting from people. And I want to talk about two of them in particular, because I think that they're good questions, and there's kind of like a bigger context to the questions, right? So first one here, we got a question on our Sophie before and after video. Not even a question, it's a somebody interjecting their opinion in it, right? So they said, not good. You may have him under control now, but all it takes is one incident to turn your life upside down. Now here's the thing, Alan. Correct, right? Obviously, when we're dealing with dogs that have any sort of, real bite risk behind them, any sort of danger and associated with things, you're 100% correct that some people can kind of paint like a false picture of like things are just fixed, right? With this particular dog, that is not the case, right? Sophie in particular is really more like just kind of like a fearful, reactive dog than like a truly, truly aggressive dog. She doesn't have a whole lot of intent to do harm. She puts up a big, big front in some situations, but she's not necessarily trying to like murder you unless you're like completely invading her space and doing all sorts of intrusive things. But 9 out of 10 times when people come over the house, she tries to stay away, and she just puts on a huge front of trying to defend herself and keep people away from her, right? So not necessarily the case in this specific dog. And the other thing too is the other side of the equation past the training, which I said, we put so much emphasis into instructing and teaching the owners safety protocols, realistic expectations with dogs like this, how to manage certain situations, that it's not just the training, right? It's the age-old saying of like training is like 50% for the dog, but mostly for the owner. That is especially true in these types of situations where we could take a dog like this, we could train them, we can get them really, really good, but if we give it to the owner and the owner doesn't alter a lot of the things that they would typically be doing in their day-to-day, they're gonna run into problems. They're fighting an uphill battle with things, because you have to address why is the dog doing the behavior in the first place. It's not as simple as just stop the behavioral issue, right? So that's one of the questions. Another question here, this one is actually a question. Somebody asked, it's actually kind of a long question on a video that we made a long time ago called When Your Dog Resource Guards You. It's like one of our more popular videos we have on our YouTube channel. I think it's one of our most viewed ones. He said, hi, I have a question. My dog is resource guarding my father from our other dog, and it's starting to get serious. The dogs grew up together, so we thought they would get along, but he started to get in serious fights with our other dogs and actually hurt her. She wasn't fighting back, though. We put the aggressive dog in his crate, but he was still growling at her, and now he treats her normally, but suddenly snaps or sometimes just scares her away. He's also a stubborn dog. He'll always act as her leader, and she follows along. Or get away from him. We thought he was jealous of her. It seems more like resource guarding than jealousy, though. How do you stop this? Do you have a video about this? So here's the thing. We do have plenty of videos on like inter-household aggression issues. And the first step of the equation is obviously understanding the behavior at hand, right? We did an entire podcast episode on fighting dogs you could find from just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like episode like 68 or something like that on the David the Dog Trainer podcast. So yes, you have to understand these issues. In a lot of cases, you know, it says dog is resource guarding father from the other dog. You know, in a lot of cases, this highlights like serious relationship dynamic issues, right? We're typically cuddling and coddling the dog so much that they're constantly glued up next to us. They're viewing us as a resource as opposed to like their buddy or their best friend, like we like to think. And they're just snapping and growling and just, you know, doing anything to get the other dogs or other people to get away from them, right? So we want you to understand these issues. We want you to understand how to start setting boundaries with the dogs, how to adjust your interactions with the dog where you're not creating this kind of false perception of the dog loving you and them just guarding you. And that's a lot of the equation. But unfortunately, there's not like a video that's necessarily going to just like show you how to solve all these problems, because there's so many variables at play when you deal with especially inter-household aggression issues, but any sort of like aggression or reactivity issues. It's not like a concrete do this and it'll fix this, because there's so many factors. And in a lot of cases, it's not just one dog, it's the other dog at play as well. And you have to look at honestly the other dog and be like, you know, is this dog completely unstable that's causing the other dog to attack them or try to fight them in the first place, right? So many different variables. So I want you guys to digest this content. I want you guys to help understand these behaviors, but I don't want you to fall into the trap of thinking that just because you're watching the videos and you may be trying to implement some of the techniques that's going to fix all your problems. I always recommend finding professional help for more serious behavioral issues. They're going to help you navigate not only the physical act of training the dogs, the physical act of going in and understanding exactly what's going on in your situations and asking the right questions to be able to get all the information you need to be able to answer that question, but they're also going to be able to help you to navigate the emotional hurdles you're going to face as you're working through these kinds of things. More serious behavioral issues, whether it's stuff like this or stuff like in the last video where the guy said, you know, one thing can flip your life upside down. He's 100% correct about that. Like there's a lot of, you know, different things that can happen, both good and bad, as you work through these things. And you have to have somebody that's going to be able to kind of walk with you and hold your hand through those types of situations to help make sure you don't get yourself into hot shit like that person thinks that Sophie's owner obviously is not going to run into that situation, but thinks that she's going to run into that situation with. So there's so much benefit to it, whether you work one-on-one with a trainer in like classes or a board and trainer or something like that, or you find somebody that you can do virtual consultations with. We offer those here as well. For anybody that finds this kind of stuff, that's going to be the best way we're going to be able to get in and answer these types of questions. So I thought that was interesting. Those two kind of correlated in that way and wanted to talk about those. All right, guys, so down training opportunity time. We got Mr. Riley down. We got Mr. Atlas here who decided to take a big old dump. And a lot of people always say, well, what do I do when, actually I don't think people say this at all, but what do I do when my dog poops? How do I handle it, right? Great question. Phenomenal training opportunity. Work your downstay. Get your dog situated in it. I'm gonna hold the leashes right now. This is the first time doing it together with them. But if it weren't my first time together, I'd set these things down on the ground and I'd let them fucking hang out there. Right? Then I'd go and I'd scoop that poop, right? Scrape it all off the ground. If you need to get a little closer to the other one, come down. Get a little closer. Good. And then you scoop the rest of it, right? And then check this out, you ready? And then you set these guys down, you tie this thing up. In my hands. Tie this guy up, right? Make sure your dogs are being good. Tie it nice and tight.
Get your leashes. Okay, good to go.
Hi, is this Austin?
Yeah.
Hey, this is David with Miracle Canine Training. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing. Got a message from you. It looks like you are looking to do something on leash training.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do this series at 3 called Ready, Pet, Go, and it's really just to kind of give different tips and tricks to, for pet owners and things like that. And, my dog, Benson, he's a mini golden doodle. I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, he has some not like leash issues necessarily, but he likes to pull on the leash and things like that. And so I was thinking that it would be great for, I'm sure a lot of other pet owners obviously deal with this too. So if you would be willing to just kind of give us some tips and tricks on just like proper like leash training, what you should do to, like even just training to go to walks. If there's anything you should do before a walk, after a walk, anything like that for a little puppy, what you should, kind of the proper way to, take your dog so they get used to the leash and things like that. So if you're interested and available, would you be available tomorrow potentially to shoot something with me?
What time are you thinking?
Preferably in the morning, but I can make it myself available whenever you can.
Yep. How early are you thinking?
I mean, our show gets done at 7. I would say anywhere in between like 7 and 10:30 or 7 and like noon. I can make myself available.
Yeah, I can make that happen. Excuse me. How much time are you thinking we're gonna need for this?
I don't know. How much time do you think? Like, we'll probably need. I would say maybe block out an hour.
Yeah. And how long is the segment typically?
The segment will probably be about 1:30 to 2 minutes, and it'll run probably 2 to 3 times. So it'll definitely run 2 times in our morning show. Yep. And then it will run probably at our 5 o'clock show, and then it'll be online too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can do. How's like 10 o'clock? Does that work?
10 o'clock? Yeah, that's actually perfect.
And where would we be meeting for this?
You tell me. What's a good place that you kind of typically go to, or do you have a kind of a go-to spot?
Yeah, I mean, we really could do it wherever. Okay. I mean, we train up at like Edgewater a lot. Obviously, we have our facility up here. We have, obviously, like, different local parks and stuff like that. We really could do it wherever.
Tomorrow, let me look at the weather tomorrow, because I think it might be supposed to rain.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it's supposed to be a fucking downpour tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
All right.
We could do. We could do it at my facility if you wanted to.
Oh, you have an actual facility there?
Yeah. Oh,
great. All right, yeah. Let's just do that. You're in Berea?
No, we're in Cleveland, on the west side of Cleveland, on Berea Road.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I just saw it. Oh, okay. I saw Berea on the thing that your phone number's from Berea. So
yeah.
What's your guys' address?
So it's 10237 Berea Road, and then you're going to be looking for Unit J. And that's obviously just Cleveland.
And your name's Dave, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right, let's do tomorrow at 10, you said, right?
Yeah, tomorrow we'll do 10 a.m. for that.
10 a.m. Okay.
And is there anything I should, you would like me to prep for, aside from like what we're going to do for it? Anything you need from me?
Yeah, I think just being able to, I'll do an interview, and then we'll do a few run-throughs of different things and really this is just for pet owners. Yeah, just keep in mind,
sure.
This is for
of course.
Pet owners to see this, and something that they can implement. But we'll also for sure say who you are, where you're from, your Instagram, your TikTok,
sure.
And then give you a nice publicity on this as well too. So
cool.
That hopefully someone will watch this and be like, all right, maybe I need to do a little bit more training, and we'll come to you. So
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So besides that, I don't know. We'll kind of figure it out as we go, but just kind of have that general frame of mind.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll have a couple ideas as far as how to demonstrate it and stuff. And then, out of curiosity, how'd you hear about us?
My friend Justin and Emily Thomas, they have packs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm buddies with them, and they told me to hit you up. So
okay.
Yeah. So. They said that you helped with packs a lot. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, I'll come up with a couple ideas as far as different ways we could demo things, and then I'll just run them by you before we start filming. So.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Cool, man. Well, I'm looking for it, and then I'll bring my dog Benson.
Okay, cool.
If that works.
Yeah, for sure.
They simply just don't understand what's expected of them in that moment. In a lot of cases, if you look at leashes, if you look at any sort of barriers like windows, doors, fences, stuff like that, they're man-made things that dogs don't inherently just understand, right? So we have to teach them what those things mean. And in a lot of cases, what we wind up teaching them is the exact opposite of what we want. Which is they pull on the leash towards something, whether it's a dog, a person, this, that, and then guess what it is that they're trying to get to, right? Whether it's to go get that scratch from that person over there, whether it's say hi to that dog over there, or go smell that enticing spot over there, right? So we have to have a clear expectation of what it is we want the dog to do, which is when they feel that leash pressure, understand that it needs to look to us, whether it's for a reward or for direction or some sort of coaching otherwise. So we work a couple of different drills to teach the dog when they feel pressure, it needs to turn to us as opposed to fight and kind of act on that opposition reflex that they organically have, and start to gain some kind of like leadership value and a little bit of something in it for them to turn to us.
Sure. Is there anything that we
about to do with our dogs before we take them on a walk?
Yeah, I think it's important to not create too much arousal. I think a lot of people hype their dog up so much before they start their walk, and it's like, you want to go for a walk?
We definitely read that.
Just for physical exercise,
sure.
Right? But it's also for mental exercise, which is arguably much more important in the animal world, right? So by working some of these different drills and techniques and creating this engagement on the walk and getting them thinking and using their brain, whether it's bringing some treats with you and just working like 10 sits or sit stays out on the walk, or enforcing a heel position for the first half of your walk as opposed to it just being a free-for-all the entire time, you start engaging their little noodle a little bit, which helps get them 10 times more tired. It's like the equivalent of them going to like a full day of work, as opposed to like, you look at physical exercise with people, you go to the gym for an hour and you're still going to go for the whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benson, you're going to be getting paid money here, pal.
That's right.
All right. Before we get into training and things like that, tell us a little bit about Miracle Canine Training, what you guys do.
Yeah, so I've been training dogs now for almost 10 years. I started Miracle Canine, well, I've had a couple different companies, but Miracle Canine Training has been in business since January 2019. We work primarily with behavioral modification stuff, so we work with dogs with more serious problems, anxiety, aggression issues, reactivity issues on the leash, which is something people commonly see. But we also work with pet dogs. We do a lot of puppy stuff. We have 4 different trainers here that have a whole different range of experience and different expertise in the dog industry, so we pretty much help you out with any of your dog needs. We offer daycare and learning services as a client-exclusive service, so once you train your dog here, you have a safe place you can bring your dog and know that all those rules you work so hard on are going to get enforced while you're gone.
Sure, cool. And what is something that you would say to a dog owner? Because when you're trying to teach a dog anything, it can be difficult to do, and you kind of get tired of it and things like that. What would you say to them just to kind of keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to look at the long game of things, right? Behavior is contingent on consistent reinforcement. So I think a lot of people will start training their dog and do some classes, and they'll enforce and reinforce their dog and set the proper boundaries and stuff over the course of that 10-week program or whatever it is, or 10 weeks that they try to do it at home, and then they think they're done, right?
Yeah.
And it just ends and they train the dog and everything's good to go. Training is a long-term communication system of being able to teach the dog things, communicate yes and no in a way that they understand, and have a set of skills that we can use within our real life as we need them, right? So you want to understand that if your dog's training may be slipping a little bit, you have to look at it being clear enough to think about what's expected, or is there something in it for them to do? Right?
Sure.
If there's not, why would they do it? How long are you going to go to work for if you don't get a paycheck?
That's a good point. All right, so I think I'm handing over the leash to you. What are we going to run through here?
We're going to work some basic leash drills, teaching him to heed to this leash pressure and get a reward from me so that he starts to understand not necessarily pulling into this leash, obviously, but seeking, what's on the other end of the leash to his handler. So,
Okay.
come on, run along. This is where you typically want to start when you're working with your new dog with this kind of stuff. And basically what we want to teach him is as you're walking around, there's relevancy to paying attention to the handler, right? So as I'm walking, if he starts getting distracted by something, I'm going to apply pressure in my direction, relieve that pressure when he comes with me, good. And then we'll reward him when he does so. And this teaches him when he feels the leash, instead of fighting it and seeing it as this thing he needs to oppose, moving with it is in his favor.
And is this something that you should be doing maybe in your living room before you go out for a walk?
Yeah, living room, backyard, if you have a big open basement, somewhere that's going to be a little bit quieter of an environment. From there, once you start perfecting it in those environments, you move to obviously outside locations. Good. Other mistakes you'll see owners commonly make is whether they're passing distractions, whether it's dogs or people. What they'll do is they'll tighten this leash up a lot, right?
Sure.
Shorten it, which naturally we don't want our dog to be running up to every single dog and person that they see. But what happens is because this leash already resembles restraint, the more we restrain the dog, the more frustration we add to things, and the more we actually cause them to want to get towards that trigger in the first place, right? So your best bet if you're passing a dog that may be over there is not to shorten your leash, but keep it loose and just create more distance, right? That way your dog's not getting triggered by that really short leash and all the frustration that might be bottling up, causing them to through these steps, obviously pretty quickly.
What's the ultimate goal? Like, what should any dog owners be for a dog and taking them for a walk and on a leash?
So I try to structure my walks out into 3 sections, right? I'm understanding that you don't want to make our dogs hold like a straight heel position the entire time. That'd be very exhausting for them, obviously. So I try to break up my walk into 3 sections, where for the first third of the walk, I'll enforce some sort of strict position like this to keep them engaged, kind of, tackle that mental stimulation side of things that we discussed. I'll give them a break somewhere in the middle, and that could be a break to just sniff around a little bit, a break to go to the bathroom. That could be a break where if you're in, obviously, a safe and closed area, you can throw a ball for your dog or something like that to let them really burn off some of the physical side of things. And then I end with a little bit of healing again to then again stimulate the mind, and they try to focus them back in after the fact.
Sure. Doesn't necessarily have to be about leash training or going on walks, but in general, what's one thing that you want dog owners to know and be mindful of?
I think one of the biggest things is understanding that they're dogs, right? So we've kind of started to shift into a world where we can take our dogs everywhere, which is phenomenal, right? We can go to patios, right? We can go to all sorts of parks, we can make them all sorts of new friends and stuff like that. But as we're doing that, we're putting them in so many new, really challenging environments. Even coming here to this new place where there's nothing going on, this is stressful for them. You know what I mean? Like, it's a new place, I don't know what's going on, there's this new guy that's holding the leash, right? And sometimes we could like really expect our dog to just be perfect in those scenarios all the time, as opposed to be empathetic of the fact that that can be challenging for them. And that's where training comes into play, because if we have communication established, effectively with them, we can give them direction in those situations, as opposed to leaving them on their own to handle and figure out all of those outside stressors.
Sure.
Come on, bud. Good. Then obviously, as you're doing this, you can start fading out your rewards, and you want to make sure that he's understanding still. Just moving with that leash and staying in position without the need for constant rewards. Right?
Yeah.
So we're leveraging both ends of the spectrum, of reinforcing when he does things correct, and then creating boundaries when he's doing things incorrect, so he understands really where those parameters are that we want him to stay within. And he's doing really well here right now.
Now, do you suggest any like kind of tightening a little bit? Like if he like drips off and like is starting to sniff something?
So basically with your leash, you want quick little bits of information like that. So I didn't shorten the leash or tighten it or anything. I just applied a little bit of pressure in my direction and then relieved that pressure the second he moved with it, right? So you shouldn't really be needing to hold that leash super, super short, right? Because let's say I was holding it like this all the time, right? There's constant tension on that leash.
Yeah.
He's not learning anything from that, right? I'm just physically holding it. Or if I hold it loose, and I walk, and he's choosing to stay there on his own, that's him engaging his mind and actually learning, right? It's like the difference of if I just taught my dog to not jump on you versus if I physically held them down so they couldn't jump on you, right? We want dogs to think and learn this stuff and start to process that information so they can make the decisions on their own. Good job, bud. Again, it's giving me really great engagement right now. You can tell he's starting to get the game. Good.
And that is something, like, that's a good thing to know, is that to make it a game.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want training to be the worst thing in the world for your dog, right? Inevitably, if you're dealing with more serious issues or anything like that, some of it is going to be difficult for them as they overcome some of these emotional hurdles, right? But for the most part, training should be this fun kind of bonding experience for your dog, right? And the more fun your dog has, the more fun you have, the longer term you're going to enforce this stuff for, right? If this sucks to do for him or for you, you're not going to do it, right? Or if he's having fun, we can see he's having fun, I'm going to have fun with that process as well. He's like, what are you doing with that camera in my face? Hey, come on. Good.
take it out into the real world, right? So once you've mastered this indoors, you start taking it outside around higher distractions. Here we are in the parking lot of our facility. We're going to do some leash walking drills, just going up and down. Same exercises as we were working on inside of pickup. Really loose on this leash here. You start losing their attention. You're going to make a 180 turn. Good. Use your leash pressure and reward when he comes with it. Or you go to the shelter and pick up a rescue dog or something like that. It's important to, again, before you bring the dog into the house, you know what you want them to do and what you don't want them to do. Of course, when we get this tiny little cute 8-week-old puppy, like, all we want to do is cuddle on the couch with it and give it treats and give it toys and this and that. But you're kind of setting yourself up for failure sometimes if they're only ever seeing you as this like treat dispenser. You know what I mean? So we want to know what our boundaries are going to be, whether it's what rooms we don't want them to go in, how we want them to behave on a leash, what things we allow them to put in their mouth in the first place, right? Furniture access, if that's something that you care about, obviously, and you just want to stay really, really consistent on anytime the dog tries to do those things for that first month that they're with you, that you stop them from doing it and redirect them into something else, right? From there, obviously, you understand that training is an essential part of this process, right? If you want our dog to stop pushing on the leash or stop push or any of those types of things, you need to be able to start establishing this communication with them so you can start telling them what you want to do, right? Because without that, we're kind of just going to every situation like fingers crossed, like I hope that this gets better. The dogs don't typically grow out of this kind of stuff. You know?
And then anywhere else including that you might go to?
I mean, I think that we try to look at the individual situation, right? Not only the individual dog and what they need for the issues that they're having, but the individual owner situation, right? Everybody lives a completely different life with their dog, right? So having this like one-size-fits-all training approach to things can be not conducive to helping both the nurse that works, 13-hour shifts 3 times a week and the person that goes to the office or works from home or anything like that, right? So we try to look at like, what do you need in order to be successful and how can we make it as easy as possible for you so that the dog's happy, the owner's happy, and everybody lives in the full life.
Perfect.
And make sure, again, you're rewarding. See, I was giving you really good attention right now? Yeah. Especially early in the training process, you want to reinforce all of that. We want to let them know, heck yeah, that's what we want you to do right now. Like we talked about, behavior is consistent or contingent on consistent reinforcement, right? So especially, this is your first time doing this with him, and he's doing exactly what we want him to do. He's not getting any feedback from you guys. Yeah. Okay. Right?